And now, Move the Sticks with Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Move the Sticks. DJ Buck with you. Buck, what is going on, man?
Nothing, man. The end of the week, so looking forward to a fantastic weekend with some games with some significant playoff implications.
Yeah, there's not a lot of games with something on the line here, but I thought we could go through a few of them. If you missed yesterday's, we talked on the big game, which was the Vikings and the Lions. We'll see what happens in that ball game, which determines the 1 and the 5 seed in the NFC. So if you're interested in that ball game, go back and listen to yesterday's. We have a couple games though coming up on Saturday that have some implications here. That's Browns Ravens. That's Bengals Steelers. Let's start first of all Browns Ravens. I was talking to somebody about this game yesterday who's steeped in the AFC North, and he just said everybody's just kind of throwing this game away. Like the Browns, come on, the Ravens are going to slaughter them.
Don't do
and they
it.
were just like, you know what? Jim Schwartz will have those defenders playing hard. Like they're going to play. They'll play hard. I don't think they have enough to get it done here, Buck. But I think I would be careful in just chalking it up right away.
Man, you just never know. I just remember the Thursday night game when they were playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. There was nothing on it. And, oh, by the way, Jameis Winston has a snowstorm. The defense gets lights out, and they knock off the Steelers in a game that the Steelers wish they had that game back because it would change where they are in the postseason. Anytime you're playing a divisional game and you're playing a rivalry game, man, throw the records out. These teams know each other better than anybody else. And so they can create issues for the opponent just because of their knowledge and the tendencies, knowing the tendencies and being able to kind of take advantage of those tendencies. This would be a tough game for the Baltimore Ravens because of the familiarity. I expect them to win. But to me, this is really a test of the maturity of the Baltimore Ravens. When you talk about being a championship teams take care of business in these games. We've seen this team have hiccups against teams that they were clearly superior to. Have they learned lessons, and can they dispatch of the Browns quickly to get their guys out the game and chalk up another win so they can secure the division?
Yeah, I think they do. I think they take care of them. But I think this game is interesting going into the third quarter, and I think they'll end up pulling away a little bit. All right, I have personal interest in this next game because it'll determine where I'm going to be spending the first weekend of the playoffs, calling Charger games, because the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Cincinnati Bengals. At this point in time, because it's a Saturday game, the Cincinnati Bengals are very much still alive. They have to win, though, to keep their postseason hopes alive. Pittsburgh needs to win. If Baltimore were to lose, then Pittsburgh would end up being the 3 seed, win the division. If Baltimore wins, now you go, okay, what does Pittsburgh have to play for? Well, Pittsburgh needs to win, because if Pittsburgh wins, they're the 5 seed, and that would send them to Houston. Versus if Pittsburgh loses in this game and the Chargers beat the Raiders, who don't have anything going for them, the Chargers would be the 5, go to Houston, and then you'd have another AFC North clash between the Steelers going on the road to play the Ravens for the 3rd time. I don't know that the Ravens or the Steelers would be very excited about that matchup.
Nobody wants to sign up for that if you're working with those franchises, just because we just talked about the familiarity. But for Pittsburgh, you lost 3 in a row. You don't want to go into the postseason with 4 straight losses. We can talk about, the professionals, you can turn it around, but every time you lose, you die a little bit on the inside. I know I'm making a little more of it than it is, but it is. You lose a little confidence. You now begin to question some of the things that you're doing. They need to get a dub so they feel good about themselves going into it, outside of all the positive benefits that can happen with the win. But when I look at Cincinnati and I look at how Joe Burrow is playing and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and I know the Cincinnati Bengals were like, hey, we couldn't get a deal done with either guy ahead of the season. But DJ, they've just
seen the piper now.
I mean, they've seen the cost of doing business just go through the roof. Like Jamar Chase putting up numbers that are ridiculous, and then T. Higgins being, as you talked about, just a plus sidekick that can find ways to create big plays and explosive plays for this offense. I would not want to face them. And I know they understand what they're dealing with. The Steelers understand what they're dealing with the Bengals. But, man, Joe Burrow's on another level. And if he has an opportunity to sneak this team into the postseason, you know he's going to bring his A game.
If he gets them into the playoffs, which would require, and we'll get to this in a minute, would require Carson Wentz and the Chiefs backups knocking off the Denver Broncos. But And this is kind of what's weird about awards is that this is totally out of his control because he could win the game and then still not get in the postseason. But if he wins and they find their way into the playoffs and he's kind of willed them to the postseason, having the year that he's had, even with what Lamar's done and Josh Allen's done and Saquon's done, I'd have a hard time not voting for Joe Burrow as the MVP of the league, man.
I mean, you look at the numbers, and the numbers are ridiculous. And we have been conditioned to think that the MVP always goes to the quarterback or the player of one of the best teams in the league. How can you not talk about Joe Burrow in that conversation, though, given the production and the story, the underdog story about the Bengals climbing their way into the playoffs, really on the strength of his right arm and the pass catching ability of T. Higgins and Jamar Chase? He would have a valid argument. I do wonder, because so many people have already closed the book up, put the pen down on the MVP conversation. I don't know how you can do it, but I feel like that it would be a long shot for him to get back into it, but he's certainly worthy of being in the conversation.
It's going to be, it's a 4-man race. So you've got Lamar, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Saquon Barkley. However you vote, I don't know how you vote anybody other than one of those 4 as the guy. And I think there are arguments you can make for each and every one of them that are strong arguments. And in normal years, I think any of those guys win it. It just so happens they all had special years at the exact same time. And the tricky part being, Lamar has won the award in previous years that don't come close to what he's done this year.
And I think that's the thing. And that's the thing that makes it harder maybe for some voters this year, because they think about the pedestrian numbers last year, in which he won it. He deserved to win it. But now I believe he's playing the best football of his entire career. Yeah. Not only the numbers and the production, but the performance in terms of his control, the way that he's able to control the game. He knows when to use his legs and athleticism. He's become really efficient and effective from the pocket, which is exactly what you wanted to see from Lamar Jackson as he kind of aged into this contract. He's worthy of it. We can talk about Josh Allen doing more with less in terms of Buffalo and the spectacular performances he put on a national stage. Joe Burrow being ridiculous with this pass-centric offense in Cincinnati that creates problems all over. And then Saquon Barkley just putting a 2,000-yard season up in his first season with a division rival. I mean, there are a lot of worthy candidates, and so it'll be interesting to see how the breakdown will go.
No, I can't begrudge you if you vote any of those 4 guys because they've all had such phenomenal years. Though I touched on it briefly. This is my super weird analogy I'm going to give you on this game, in that I watched the show The Voice in a long, long time. I want to say we were both on The Voice early on, like watching The Voice, talked about it a little bit on the pod many, 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 many years ago. And there's always like these storylines of like, this guy had like maybe he had like one song, he almost made it. And then, he had to go take care of his kids. And then like, he had to get out of the industry. And then like, this is this one shot. I got one opportunity to try and get back into the industry. I'm going to go on The Voice and see if I can. I'm like, that's Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz, had a couple hits, had a couple hit songs, and then just disappeared. And nobody knows where he's been or what he's been up to, what he's been doing. But he's going to get an opportunity in front of some judges, some NFL GM judges, to audition. So everybody says the Denver Broncos are going to cruise. The Kansas City Chiefs are playing their backups. Well, keep in mind, one of those backups who happens to be taking snaps is literally competing for his NFL future, if there ever is a chance he could ever be a starting quarterback ever again in this league.
Yeah, he is. And we get a chance to see him play for a quarterback whisperer in Andy Reid. And we've seen anybody who has played quarterback for Andy Reid has had a level of success going all the way back to his Philly days. He understands how to build game plans for quarterbacks to thrive in. Given a full week to prepare under Andy Reid, I expect Carson Wentz to play well. I don't know if that's going to be enough for them to win, but the Kansas City Chiefs are taking an approach where they want to rest their guys, but they always want to win. This is what they do. I just can imagine. I would think that he would play pretty well.
Yeah, I'm sneaky looking forward to that just to see how it goes, good or bad. I am curious to see what it looks like. Buck, we hinted at this before this list came out, and it is what ended up being the case, and that is, we could say the best player in the NFL, hands down, no argument whatsoever. Patrick Mahomes, not a Pro Bowler, which makes it kind of bizarre, right? This would never happen in the NBA. It would never happen in the NBA where that guy would not be an all-star. But that's those 3 quarterbacks in his own conference have had a better year than he has. It's just a weird spot to be in.
It's a weird spot, but I can appreciate the voters not kind of like grandfathering him in or giving him a lifetime achievement award to go to the Pro Bowl. When you think about the 3 guys that are going into it, they've outplayed him. I mean, we can talk about quarterback wins and those things, and people, it's a polarizing topic in terms of giving credit to the quarterback, whether they win or lose. But the other guys have certainly put up numbers where they're deserving of going as Pro Bowlers. This would be great. The thing that we know about Patrick Mahomes, he certainly would take it as motivation that he is not viewed as a Pro Bowler. But hey, man, them's are the breaks when you're in a conference that's loaded with quarterbacks.
It's coming. He's gonna win.
Oh, he's gonna be on 10.
Oh, he's gonna be like, I got not even good. He's gonna be mic'd up in the Super Bowl, and he's gonna be going, I guess I'm not good enough to go to Pro Bowl, but I guess I just keep winning these Super Bowls. It
is like the gift that keeps on. It's a late Christmas gift for Andy Reid to go into this thing and be like, hey, coach, just want to let you know that Pat didn't make the Pro Bowl. Oh, he didn't. Motivated Pat Mahomes, and he has a week to stew in it during a bye week where you can just poke the bear. You can just say, oh, regular Pat Mahomes, no Pro Bowler alternate. That would be the worst. That would be even better. Pro Bowl alternate.
Oh, I think I would have started a team meeting like, hey guys, the Pro Bowl's out. We're gonna honor everybody. I want to start first of all. Pat, get up here. Pat, come on up here. Put your arm out. Hey, Pat, congratulations. You're a first alternate for the AFC in this year's Pro Bowl.
So great. Just so great to just poke the bear, to just do all the other stuff or whatever. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. It would almost be like having a participation certificate.
Yeah. Here you go.
Hey, little Johnny played on the team this year. Hey, Pat, here's
Pat. And I don't even know this to be true. I don't even know. Hey, Pat, I know you have X hundreds of thousands of dollars tied in your contract to making the Pro Bowl. Man, disappointed you didn't get that. But you know what? We had Applebee's right down the street, and here's a $100 gift card. Congrats, man. You're an alternate. Like, how much could you piss this guy off? Like, that's what I'm trying to do.
I'm on him. I am on him. I'm trying to make him nice and angry. Oh, he's going to have a great postseason. He's going to be frothy.
I want to touch on a couple of the names. It's kind of cool to see. How about Jerry Jeudy? What a turnaround, man. And again, one of those draft grades that sometimes you got to just be with the right people in the right spot that you can see that talent come out a little bit. So good for him.
How about Jerry? I mean, like, here's the thing about Jerry Jeudy. He went to work, put his head down, went to work, had an opportunity to get better, and he put up numbers. And as an evaluator, as a scout, we always love it when we put grades on people. We're like, finally, I can dust this one off. Just like there are a lot of people that are dusting off that old Sam Darnold report. Hey, I know it's been a few years. Baker Mayfield too. Hey, I know it's been a few years, but I had him right. He just needed to be in the right spot.
By the way, score one for centers who are also wrestlers. Creed Humphrey, Tyler Linderbaum. I mean, like, can you go wrong when you get guys like that? I mean, I just like, there you go. Both those guys are as good as it gets in the AFC.
I mean, you got to like that, right? So you have an opportunity to find those guys. And it's so much of what we do as evaluators is digging into the background, looking at that stuff and trying to find the stuff that translates, right, from being a multi-sport athlete. And so you get the wrestlers that we always love to see in the offensive and defensive lines, but not only because of the toughness, but the leverage player. But there you have it. Now being able to sell that to somebody like, hey, buddy, if you're a wrestler and you can snap the ball, makes you invaluable.
Yeah, no doubt. Some other interesting ones. Nick Benito from Denver makes a Pro Bowl. That's one who, if you've listened to our show for years, we've always talked about get off as something that we've paid attention to, and someone who always showed up when given opportunities on the football field. We're like, okay, if you got one trick in your bag and it's burst and explosiveness and get off, that's a good one to have. And he's developed as a all around pass rusher, double-digit sacks. But cool story for him.
Yeah, cool story. And it's another thing that pass rushers can come in all sizes and shapes. He's not the traditional lumbering pass rusher that we've seen, a little undersized, but he's found his niche in that defense. And hats off to Vance Joseph for being able to unlock some of that, because didn't necessarily see it consistently, obviously, when he was at Oklahoma, but you saw the twitch. And the Twitch has turned into a bunch of splash plays that the Denver Broncos are certainly happy that he's been able to deliver.
Give the Raiders their flowers with the rookie and Brock Bowers. Tough year for the Raiders, but man, they got that one right. He's in the Pro Bowl as a rookie. Another rookie as we go to the NFC. Jaden Daniels making it right out the chute. What a heck of a year for that dude, man.
How about that? Jaden Daniels, like not only making it, but doing in spectacular fashion, making the Pro Bowl, leading his team to a postseason berth. The thing about it, though, DJ, is seeing how all the stuff lined up. The conversations that we had with the people down at LSU, the work ethic, how that has continued to be a big part of who he is and how he's become such a good player so early for the Commanders. And we've talked about how a quarterback can reverse the fortunes of the franchise. He does that. First one in, last one out, and then he plays to the level that he's played at. You have to be excited about the Commanders, our guy AP, Adam Peters being able to get the right pick, but really Jaden Daniels being able to kind of turn around from some tough moments at Arizona State and then at LSU to being the player that he's becoming in the league.
How about the Philadelphia Eagles? You have a Hall of Famer in Kelsey who retires, and you don't necessarily even have to go out and find one because you already took care of his replacement while he was still there. You invested in Cam Jurgens. You let him sit under a Hall of Famer. I mean, that's when you're well run, man. When you've got so much depth along the offensive line, you can take a high pick, invested in someone who you know doesn't even need to get out there right away, who can play guard if you need him to, but then eventually takes over at center. So he sits for a minute, plays guard. Now he gets a chance to go to his natural position at center, and he's in the Pro Bowl, one of the best centers in the NFL. Like that's having guys ready to rock and roll, man, having depth.
That's team building, and that's what you're doing. And as you know, people always get on teams for taking best player available and those things, but the Philadelphia Eagles have a blueprint that has worked successfully for them. They invest in the bigs on the offense and defensive line. They're not afraid to go and get playmakers when the playmaker lines up with what, the draft grades and the stuff is. And they're always not only thinking about this year, but they're thinking about next year and 2 years down the road, what's coming up. Good team builders are always on it. They think about the here and now, but they're always trying to keep the team in contention going forward. The Philadelphia Eagles have been a perennial contender because they've been built the right way.
I want to add some love for the Minnesota Vikings. A lot of times you can, I would say, overvalue your players and not understand there's a bigger world out there. Look, Danielle Hunter's a great player, and he left, and he's been a good player in Houston. But they got two guys in Greenard who came from Houston, and then Van Ginkel, guys who fit them and who have played at an extremely high level. And for both those guys to come in the door and make the Pro Bowl, that's good personnel work right there.
Man, great personnel work. And it's funny because identifying players that really work for your team, that really work for how you want to play and having the vision to be able to do it, it's the connection that front office has with the coaches to be able to put it together. And a lot of times as we get into the offseason, after some of these moves are made on, unfortunately, Black Monday, we'll talk about alignment. And we'll talk about the shared vision that the general manager and the head coach must have when it comes to building a team. And you're seeing some of that.
Last ones here. Jared Verse, the rookie for the Rams. Les Snead, hat tip, well done. Could make a strong argument. Should have had another. His rookie teammate should be there with him with the year that you've got out of Fisk. But Jared Verse makes the Pro Bowl as a rookie. The Eagles, the linebacker position, which had been a little bit of an Achilles heel for them. Zach Bond, one of the signings of the offseason, he makes the Pro Bowl. He's been awesome. Fred Warner just continues to do his thing. But also I would say you had two Illinois guys in the secondary who ended up making the Pro Bowl here, right? So you had Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois, and then his teammate, you had Kirby, right? Made
Kirby
as well. Yep. So that's a hat tip to the University of Illinois. Nice job with that secondary there, boys.
Nice job. Good job, Brett Bielema.
Yep.
Being able to get into it with Shane Beamer kind of excited my little bowl game stuff, little T stuff.
Hey, time out on him.
Yeah. Hey, woo. Like that, man. Like people say that bowl games are meaningless, but I kind of like some of the feistiness that we've seen.
By the way, Bielema would need to end that fight in the first round. I think that thing gets into the deep waters. I'm leaning towards Beamer, but you got to finish.
You know what? Just looking at you know, we always talk about, you remember in meeting rooms, we were talking about like, hey, if we had to have like a round robin of coaches fights and who would be the last one. Here's what I'm going to say. If Beamer can get it to the later rounds,
cardio is going to kick in.
His cardio, that third long, he's just wailing away. You know, you just got to stay away from the heavy right hand from Bill Maher early. Kind of like Brock Lesnar. You know what I'm saying? Like, stay away from the heavy hands early.
Got to survive that first round. I think you might have to go more old school with Bielema. I think it would be like, what was the name of, oh gosh, what was the name? He was the best forever, old Russian dude. And then he, oh gosh, come on. He was in Pride, and then he came, and then I don't even know if he never fought in the UFC, I don't think, but he was like the number one guy. Oh, come on, Buck.
I can't remember that. I remember your guy, Henderson. I remember Hondo.
Yeah, but this guy fought Dan Henderson too. I'm looking it up right now because it's going to drive me nuts. Oh gosh.
So I just like so you pulled.
Oh, Fedor. Come on, Fedor Emelianenko.
Oh, okay. Like I was like,
yeah, that's Bielema. Bielema's Fedor.
We're just throwing.
Wow. You just got to get it done early. Looks like Fedor was not like the most put together guy, but he's a lot of power packed in that.
A lot of power there. So Beamer has to just duck and dodge, and then just get him to the rest and just pepper him with a bunch of different things.
Yeah, you know? Yeah, that's it. All right, we're lost it. We've completely lost it. Let's get to the weekend so we can get back here and recap what we're looking at in the postseason, as well as some changes that might be coming to NFL franchises and a look towards the NFL draft as well. Appreciate you guys hanging with us here. Hope you've had a wonderful, wonderful start to the new year, and we'll see you Monday right here on Move the Sticks.